Hey, sports bettor. Yes, you. Guess what? Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for its 28th year of NFL action. So, here's what you got to do. Just click the link below in my description box and sign up today. BetUS.com, where the game begins. Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League. I'm Nick Diaz.
We're closing in on making a decision. You know, the two of them are outstanding quarterbacks. You guys probably, if you were voting as a group in here, it might be, you know, a split in this room. It's pretty close. So I think you could probably understand why, for us, you know, we're not jumping out there giving you a quarterback because it is. They're both fine quarterbacks, and it's that close. But we're gonna have to make a decision here in the next few days.
Ugh! I just want this to be over. And look, some people will say, Nick, what does it matter who starts if both quarterbacks are going to play? Because, damn it, I feel like it. But you're right. It really doesn't matter because at this point it's all semantics because it's a tie. The only way to break this kind of tie is to have both quarterbacks battle it out for the full-time spot during the season in games. That's really how they're going to tell. Maybe nobody does it, but I think at this point, that's essentially what Brian Kelly's going to say. And something tells me Brian Kelly already has an idea as to who that starting quarterback will be, but they just need to name the starter to script the first 15 plays of the game. That's really all this is. Both are still splitting first-team reps because both are going to play, but you just need to name a starter for scripting the opening plays. That's it. But instead of giving a general timeline of when the quarterback will be named a starter, Brian Kelly was finally more specific about when that will be.
As long as we've got our decision made by, you know, the end of the weekend here, and then we make some kind of announcement, you know, whether it's, you know, Monday or Tuesday of next week, we feel like we'll be in a pretty good position.
So Monday or Tuesday of next week. That makes sense, seeing as it's game week, which is usually around the time that you start to script that opening drive. I still think it'll be Jaden Daniels on that opening drive, but now, I don't know. It keeps on going further. It makes me wonder, but I'm still sticking to my guns on this one. Now, Brian Kelly was asked specifically if this is going to be a two-quarterback system.
You know, I don't know that I have an answer for that question as much as I think we need to make the decision, start who it is that we feel, you know, gives us the best chance to win, but know that both of them are quarterbacks that can help us win the SEC. However that plays out, it's really hard for me to answer that question, you know, looking forward. But I think in the moment, we feel really good about both of those quarterbacks. I'm trying to be evasive, but it's just a fact.
That's interesting. Very interesting. I mean, he could be bullshitting us right now. He says, I'm not trying to be evasive, but he could be. But it seems like this quarterback battle is really putting him at his wit's end. It kind of goes back to what I've said this whole time. Look, Brian Kelly doesn't want to have a two-quarterback system. He's had it before. But at the end of the day, think about this. If you brought in a veteran quarterback that started 30 games and had bad talent around him for most of that time, and everyone thinks, well, just give him more talent and he'll be better, while that may be true, then why is that quarterback still splitting reps with a redshirt freshman who has never started a game? I'll keep on asking that question until we get a definitive answer. Now, what I will say is that I've appreciated so far about Brian Kelly is how he's given an intelligent answer to just about everything he's been asked. It's straight and to the point, it's clear and concise, it's reasonable, and I don't have to agree with what everyone says, just as long as I understand it and that it's a reasonable assumption. If you can give me a reasonable assumption as to why you disagree with me, I'll be like, okay, that's fine, perfectly cool. But just be intelligent. Now, speaking of intelligent people, it never ceases to amaze me what intelligent people are capable of. They can find a cure to a disease. They can solve a puzzle faster than just about everyone. They can lead a nation into battle. They can run a Fortune 500 company. And a lot of those people were accepted or they graduated from some of our nation's best institutions. And one of them is the University of Notre Dame. Now, this person, whose clip I'm about to play, is not a graduate of Notre Dame, but he is a former college football player and a former college football coach at the Division III and Division II level for quite some time, and he now covers Notre Dame football. His name is Brian Driscoll of Irish Breakdown. Really good guy, actually. Really intelligent dude, well-spoken, knows his stuff for sure. And he was talking to Jake Crane of Crane & Company, formerly J-Boy Show. And, well, here we go.
Brian Kelly, the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. He goes to Louisiana State. The last three head coaches for LSU have won national titles. Will Brian Kelly win a national championship at LSU?
No, he won't. He won't recruit the way he needs to recruit. I don't think he's the coach he was at Grand Valley, the coach he was at Cincinnati. I think that guy is gone. I think he is look, Notre Dame wasn't lacking talent. Notre Dame lacked big game production because Brian Kelly just didn't get those teams ready to play in big games. And I don't think that all of a sudden miraculously changes because he's now in Baton Rouge. I think Notre Dame fit more of his personality. It fit his recruiting base. The most southern place he'd ever coached before Notre Dame was Cincinnati. Notre Dame's the second most southern place he's ever coached. So I don't see the fit, to be honest with you. And, say that sour grapes or the case may be, but honestly, guys, I was ready for Brian Kelly to be done 2020 because I feel he had taken the program as far as he could. And I don't see him cleaning up that dumpster fire at LSU anytime soon.
Again, it is amazing to me what intelligent people are capable of. They can find a cure to a disease, solve a puzzle, lead a nation, and run a Fortune 500 company, and they can still be blinded by their dogma. Now, this guy didn't go to Notre Dame, but he pretty much has repeated what every Notre Dame fan, an alum, and former player has been saying for the last 9 months now. I have never seen anything like this before in sports. I've seen arrogance from all different types of fan bases and different sports and different levels, okay? Even LSU fans, especially in baseball. But I have never seen the kind of delusion, blind faithfulness that I've seen from Notre Dame. They are so inside their own bubble, it's absolutely insane. How in the fuck can any human being, much less a former college coach who seems like a nice guy and a smart guy, can watch those Notre Dame games against Bama and Clemson and think, yeah, there was no talent disparity between those two teams? What? That is the craziest thing about every single Notre Dame fan, player, and alum that I've come across or seen when talking about Brian Kelly leaving for LSU. They all sound exactly like Brian Driscoll did in that clip. They aren't emotional. They are just simply matter of fact. Like, they actually believe this shit. It's just like a throwaway comment. They have been so indoctrinated and ingrained into a cult that they genuinely believe this. It's like asking me if I drop this pin right now, it's going to fall flat because there's gravity. Well, yeah, no shit. What's the problem? It's ridiculous. If any other coach left for any other job in college football because they, that job refused to modernize facilities, they wouldn't spend more money or make it academically more accessible for recruits to get into that school, those fans would riot to the president's office or the athletic director's office. But Notre Dame just thinks, it's not an us problem. It's an everyone else problem. Lou Holtz sat in that office. Newton Rockne played on that field. It's not our problem. It's your problem. Okay, you have to get high test scores in math to get accepted into Notre Dame, right? That's what I've been told. Well, this is basic math. If you make it really hard for an athlete to get accepted into Notre Dame, then you are cutting your talent pool smaller than that of the majority of other schools you are competing against. It is why Lou Holtz resigned from Notre Dame in 1996. I've seen this type of indoctrination from large groups of people in all areas of life, but never in sports. This is a fucking cult. This is a goddamn cult is what this is. He's not a fit in the recruiting base at LSU. Brian Kelly, average recruiting class at Notre Dame, had kids from 17 to 19 different states in the country. Many of them were from South Louisiana. It just goes to show you. And let this be a warning to all of you. Intelligence is not just about brain power. It's also about ego. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Or follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok in the description link below.